ready to head out to Breyer, MidWest this morning. We're about to head out to the airport, and it's so funny because you can barely tell. The shelves are so full because I'm only bringing minis. So the only difference is there's a few spots on the mini shelf that are missing horses. But never leave for a vacation without a good deep clean. The horse room is looking good. The cats are ready to spend time with our pet sitter, and we are gonna head out here in just a minute. All right, welcome to another unconventional experience video. I'm gonna do this pretty much the same way that I did my Breyerfest experience video, because this was the wildest Breyer event experience I have ever had, in that the travel was so immensely stressful and there was no time to get any video once we were actually at the event. So I still want to do a video like this, prefacing by saying it's not going to be the most exciting thing in the world. If you don't want to pretty much watch a PowerPoint presentation about my Breyer MidWest experience, this video is not for you, and that's okay. I'll see you in the next one, because it'll probably be a bit more exciting. But I do still want to do this. I like doing these experience videos, even if I'm not the best at actually vlogging and getting video content for them. I still think it's fun to kind of compile a storytelling type experience video about each of these big Breyer events that I get to go to. So we're still going to do it. Maybe get a snack or something, or even better, just have this playing in the background while you're doing something much more important. And let's chat about Breyer MidWest 2025. So this was the first ever Breyer MidWest, as opposed to Breyer West that has been hosted in Denver for the past couple of years. Breyer MidWest was hosted in Kansas. Presumably they were trying to avoid some of the bad weather that they've had in Denver. Also, the expo that Breyer West has been tied to the past couple of years did not happen this year. And Kansas? The expo that Breyer MidWest was tied to was huge and very poppin' and tons of people and lots going on. So presumably that's kind of why that change happened. It is theoretically should be a little bit easier for us to get to with where it's located now. Kansas is technically closer than Denver. More on that to come, though, because what should and what did are two totally different things. So anyways, I decided to go again this year after going to Breyer West for the first time in 2024. I decided to take my husband on a little vacation. We were going to have a couple of days just to ourselves before all of the model horse festivities started. And much needed vacation. We've both had just an absolutely insane past 9 to 12 months. Lots of big adult things to have to deal with. So having a vacation, relaxing vacation, was something we were very much looking forward to. We were planning on, of course, doing all 3 days of Breyer MidWest, Friday being the open show, Saturday being workshops and silent auction and swap meet, and then Sunday just kind of being for putzing, and maybe walking around the expo, doing some shopping. And we did get to do all of those things, although we were not able to have the relaxing vacation days in addition to doing all of those things. Our trip started with us leaving bright and early from our home in Michigan to fly from Detroit Metro to Chicago O'Hare. And we successfully made it to Chicago O'Hare. However, we did not successfully make it from Chicago O'Hare to Kansas. As far as we can tell, Kansas had some kind of a snowstorm the day that we were supposed to fly in. and all flights were canceled. Come to find out, and we knew the airport was small, but the airport in Kansas that we were flying into only had 1 or 2 gates. So naturally, only 1 or 2 flights every day are going to fly into that airport. And we knew that going into it, but we did not expect our flight to get canceled because it was sunny and 50 degrees in Michigan. So the fact that it was snowing in Kansas seemed kind of far-fetched, but it was. So anyways, our flight from Chicago to Kansas got canceled, and that meant that we were stranded in Chicago with no other options. The next time they could get us on a flight to Kansas was on Tuesday, the Tuesday after Breyer, MidWest. So our options were go home and give up this time that we took off work to be together and completely forego the trip in its entirety, forego all of the fees that we paid, the models we purchased, blah, 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 blah. Or we can get gritty, we can get a rental car, and we can drive the rest of the way, which was between a 10 to 12 hour drive. We would have to make that drive the following day with the timing of everything. So we decided, all right, we're going to get gritty, we're going to get a rental car. So we tried to get a rental car. There were none. There were no rental cars available at Chicago O'Hare. Come to find out, it was Chicago spring break or winter break, some school break. I don't know. I don't have children, and I'm not in school anymore, but it was some kind of break from school. So everybody needed a rental car. And so there were no rental cars available at Chicago O'Hare. We had this very strange experience too, where this guy tried to sell us like a private driving service situation, and it was very, very scary, and all of my alarm bells were going off, and husband Sam was like, yeah, no, we're not getting kidnapped today. We're not getting kidnapped today. So I think we're going to pass on that. Very strange. Don't think that that's a legitimate service. Anyways, moving on. We thankfully have an angelic friend, Laura, who lives very close to Chicago O'Hare and knows the area, meaning that not only did she rescue us and give us a place to sleep so we did not have to sleep at the airport, but she also was able to get us to a rental car service in the morning that actually had cars. So we got a car. And my goodness, when we got that car, it was the biggest relief I think I've ever felt in my life. And we drove an entire day to Kansas. So our 1 day travel turned into a 2 whole day travel, but we made it. We made it in time for the event to start. We just simply did not get our little day and a half of touristy relaxing time, which is a bummer, but in the moment, we both would have rather had it that way than have foregone the whole event. And I stand by that. It was a really bad situation and super unfortunate that stuff like that kind of continues to happen year after year with this event. It's no one's fault. It just always seems to wind up that way. Not for lack of trying on anyone's part, but my goodness, it was stressful. So we got there, and Friday was the open show, which is where most of the pictures that you're going to be seeing in this video come from. The open show was so fun. There were lots of friends showing. Our friend Teddy came all the way from the UK to be there. It was my first time meeting them in person, which was so lovely. It's so nice when events like this draw people from like not only all over the States, but also all over the world. So cool. And lots of good friends from the west side of the country. My friend Eleanor was there. I only get to see her a few times a year. And all of that stuff. It was really, really good. The showing was good. The competition was good. The judging was good. Felt very similar to the Breyer West Open Show in 2024, which I had similar opinions about. It was a fantastic experience. Everyone was super nice. All of the judging was very, very, very good. The competition was was good, but not like overwhelming like the Breyer Fest Open Show. Just a very quality show. I enjoyed it so much. My horses did quite well. I showed my minis again. just because we're flying. They're the easiest to transport. I wound up with 3 sectionals and an overall in the mini division. Very happy with that. Any Breyer ribbon is so exciting, and then to go on to win an overall was also super, super cool. So very happy with my minis and their showing. That was very fun. It was husband Sam's first ever model horse show, so that was fun too. He is so goofy. He had so many funny questions. It always fascinates me, bringing someone to a model horse show that like isn't hobby aware. Like my mom's first model horse show, hilarious. The questions she had were like fantastic and things that I just never would have thought to ask. And it was the same with Sam. Like, even though he hears me talk about the hobby all the time and tell him hobby stories, vent to him about hobby situations, he sees the horses, like, he's very hobby aware, but maybe not like show aware, I think, because he had the funniest questions. It was great. And he did pretty darn good. He hung out, he went on a couple adventures when he got bored. He harassed our poor table buddies when he got bored. But he did great. He had a great time. It was very fun. And what else did we do on Friday? After the show, we went out to a group dinner with some friends, which was awesome. And then we turned in for the night. I don't know if it was because of the travel or the stress or all of it, but I slept harder on this trip than I slept maybe in my lifetime. Every night I would fall asleep with the lights and the TV on, which for me, I am the most finicky, sensitive sleeper in the world. I cannot sleep with a single light on or I will wake up with a migraine. It has to be pitch black. There can't be any noise. I have to sleep with white noise so that it drowns out all of the other noise. Like I am not a good sleeper. And I slept like a baby every single night at Breyer Midwest. Even at Breyer Fest last year, where we were there for 9 days and showing for like 4 or 5 out of those 9 days, I still didn't sleep as well as I slept at Breyer Midwest. It was insane. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I slept like a baby. So anyways, after a fantastic night of sleep, we made it to Saturday. And Sam and I actually got to sleep in a little bit on Saturday, which was nice for both of us. We didn't roll up until probably about noon. We hung out, we walked around the expo a little bit, which was fun. There were lots of vendors. We kind of grabbed a group of friends and that kind of grew as time went on, but we walked around, we looked at all the vendors. We went and we watched some demonstrations. We walked through the barns and petted some noses, which was fun. And then eventually we made our way back to Breyer's building for a workshop. Sam and I did the trail props workshop, which was super fun. We wound up with 2 sets of the same props. So one we painted while we were there, kind of as the workshop instructed. The other set we did not paint, and we kind of left it like just the raw wood. And that was awesome because then I brought it home and I stained it. So it's a stained wood look versus the painted white wood look. So that was cool. Really fun to kind of have that variety now of those trail props. And maybe like halfway through that workshop, they called everyone up that had been bidding in the silent auction, which I was included in, and we got to do the live bidding, which I did. I hung in there a little bit, and then eventually the lot that I was bidding on did go beyond what I was able to spend at that moment, so I bowed out, but bidding on anything is exciting. I did the same last year. I did bid on something, but eventually it went beyond what I was willing to spend. So I did bow out, but it's a fun experience. It's exciting. And, you know, when the winners are people that you are friends with or that definitely deserve the win, it's even better. And that was the case with a lot of stuff this year. So it was cool. It was very cool to see. And then I rejoined Sam after that excitement, and he had kept up with both sets of trail props very well. And I got to finish up there with him as much as was possible without painting that second set of props. And then Saturday after the event, we kind of quickly went back to the hotel and ate dinner at the hotel restaurant because later in the evening was the swap meet. So I just went to the swap meet. Sam was pretty tired, so he headed back upstairs. He's also not a big crowds person, which is why I don't bring him to Kentucky. One of the reasons, God bless him. So he headed back upstairs, but eventually he got lonely and bored and he did come downstairs. But he was wise because he missed the initial crowd of people that were going into the swap meet. There were quite a few. And it was super fun. It was a very small space, so that's kind of where the crowding came from. But I think it worked perfectly fine. There were lots of vendors and lots of shopping to be done. It was super fun. Bought a couple of trinkets to come home with and then got to spend the rest of the evening with friends that were selling. And then Sam did wander down eventually and walk around and kind of get to experience the craziness of a swap meet. And he wanted to buy some silly little trinkets to bring home with him. And so that was nice too. So yeah, it wound up just being a nice evening spent with friends at the swap meet and talking about the weekend so far and just hanging out with hobby people. It was really nice. So after that, we headed up for another fantastic night of sleep. I'm telling you, I hit the bed and immediately fell asleep every single night we were there. And Sunday, it was a good thing I did because Sunday, I got to volunteer at the Youth Novice show. So I had to be up pretty early to get there and help with that. It was so fun. It was such a fun experience. I'd actually never been to a Breyer youth or novice show before. I've seen them running, but I've never been involved in one before. And it was so uplifting, all of these, kids, parents, and even novice adults that are trying this for maybe the first or second time ever. They all had great questions and really had the right attitude of wanting to learn and get information that they could take with them and apply for the next time they do it. It was just very uplifting and encouraging to see so many people that are interested in the hobby and interested in showing. I love showing. I wish that I would have been able to start showing so much sooner than when I did because I think it's so much fun. So it's nice to see other people having that experience where they're learning about how great it is and wanting to improve and get better because it's something that they enjoy and they want to be good at it. So it was very fun. And after that, there wasn't much. That was kind of the only thing that went on Sunday. There was also the stablemates painting briefly after the show ended. We all did the stablemates painting competition, although many of us were more competitive or less competitive than others, myself being on the I'm just painting a stablemate for fun because this is the only time I had to sit down and do it all weekend end versus the actual artists who were trying to impress and win. But it was fun just to sit down and paint a stablemate. Sam painted one too, which was super cute. But anyways, after the Youth Novice show on Sunday, we headed out for one last group dinner with friends and got to enjoy one more evening before another day of travel. So 3 days of travel, 3 days of fun. My goodness, it was a lot of travel drama. But once we were there at the event, we had a fantastic time. Again, the best part was just hanging out with so many good friends, seeing such encouraging, positive things coming out of the hobby, in large part due to those good friends and connections. And it was a super positive experience. Again, once we were there, the event itself, fantastic. 5 stars, 10 out of 10. Breyer and staff, you guys did an awesome job. It was super, super fun. From an entrant traveler perspective, couple of things I wanted to kind of talk about that I've been asked since the event. How do I feel about this event compared to my 2024 Denver experience? And I will talk about this objectively from only the days of the event, not the travel, because that is not Breyer's fault. The actual event itself was super similar, very much the same energy, a more kind of quiet Breyer event than Kentucky, but still super educational, very well organized. There's shopping, there's workshops, there's a very competitive and fun show going on. The actual Breyer event itself, nearly identical experience, which was super, super positive. As far as the location, I will preface by saying it's hard for me to have an opinion about this because we really didn't get that time to explore the area and to enjoy what there was to do there. But just from the perspective that I got staying there and eating in the area and just being there in the time that we weren't at the event, it's hard to beat Denver. It's really hard to beat Denver. There's just so much to do in Denver. There's so many different options for food. There's so many different options of places to stay and things to do. You can do a million different things in Denver. There were things to do in Kansas. They weren't quite as exciting as the things to do in Denver were. Now, granted, in each year, I was not actually able to do any of those extra things that I had planned or that I had listed as possibilities. Because in Denver, the one extra day that we had planned, the entire city shut down because they got like 8 inches of snow the night before. So the only thing that was open, even for us to eat, was a Panera Bread. So we hung out at the Panera Bread for a nice long while. And then this year, we just didn't get that extra day of touristy activities because we were driving. So that's my very limited input and perspective on kind of expanding the model horse trip into being more of a vacation. I do think that that's easier to do in a location like Denver. I think with this Kansas location and event, really, if you're wanting to stick to more, artistic, horsey type experiences, those are going to be best had actually at the event. Versus in Denver, we had plans to go to an art museum and a couple other things in the city the day before the event actually started. So, to each their own. I think that they're both lovely places to host an event, but I think that if you're going to expand your vacation beyond just the event, it would definitely be easier to do something like that in Denver. As far as the hotel, the host hotel, I stayed at the host hotel in 2024 and in 2025, so Denver and Kansas. The Kansas hotel was everything it needed to be. It was very clean. There was a restaurant. It had the ballroom for the swap meet. It was great. We enjoyed the hotel a lot. That said, I loved the hotel in Denver. It was so nice and fancy and pretty, and it had a breakfast shop where you could get egg sandwiches and lattes in the morning, and we were very spoiled by the hotel in Denver. There's nothing wrong with the hotel that they hosted at in Kansas at all. It was lovely. We enjoyed it quite a lot. We actually enjoyed the restaurant there quite a lot. Sam especially really liked it. They had a good variety, good food, lots of options for folks that eat lots of different ways. But man, we were spoiled with that hotel in Denver. It was so beautiful. I came down a couple times and just like, read my book next to the giant marble fireplace that had a horse painting larger than myself hanging over it. Like, it was just, we were very spoiled with that hotel. And I really, really liked that hotel a lot. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with the hotel in Kansas. It was exactly what it needed to be, and we really enjoyed our stay there. Nobody can control the weather. I don't know why we have consistently had bad luck with the weather going into this event. At least both of the years that I have done it. And from my experience, that's not new. That's something that happened even before I started going to this event. It's hard to predict the weather anywhere in the West or the Midwest during the winter. Snow is a thing. And unfortunately, it's a thing that, those regions both deal with in quite large quantities during February and March. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if there is one. It's just kind of part of the territory, I think, when it comes to trying to travel during that time of the year. I don't really think there's a way to fix it or get around it. But I will say I will probably not be going back next year. It's a multifaceted decision. It doesn't have anything to do with our event experience this year. One, just purely the travel is too stressful to justify. There's so many other things that we could do, that we could travel to that wouldn't involve that level of stress, or that would be less likely to involve that level of stress. And I don't regret our decisions at all, but I've done it 2 years. I've dealt with the travel stress 2 years in a row, the having to last minute change flights or pivot and figure out what the best way to get there is. It's just not something that I'm up for 3 years in a row, and there's no predicting whether that will or won't happen again. So that was a big deciding factor. Other deciding factors are just current things that we are working on in life right now that could cause our energy to be diverted elsewhere within the next year or so. And that's perfectly fine. The event will, I'm sure, still be a smashing success as it was this year. And I definitely see myself going back someday. I just definitely don't think it's in the cards for me to go back again next year. Doing the 2 years in a row was super fun. I got to experience it once with a good friend and then once with my husband. And got to experience it in the 2 different venues, which I think was really cool, because it was totally different between 24 and 25. And again, I definitely see myself going back in the future. I just don't think it's going to be in the cards next year, both for my stress levels with traveling and also because I think that I will want to be spending my efforts to do some different things around this time next year. That's the hope, at least. So all of that said, it was a lovely experience. I'm glad we got to do it. I'm so glad we got to spend a little weekend in the middle of the year with good hobby friends from all over, not just from the Region 8 area. I love y'all, but we see each other all the time. So it was really nice, and I was glad to see so many friends have successful weekends, both by way of showing and volunteering and doing workshops. It was just a really cool experience, something that I value, again, getting to see that kind of a variety of people mid-year and not just once a year in Kentucky is really cool. So that was Breyer MidWest. I also threw in some haul pictures here too, all the goodies that I came home with. And that is all I have for you guys today. As far as what is next for my YouTube, I am not pressuring myself to do like a certain quantity of YouTube videos this year at all. It's just not something that I am prioritizing my time and energy towards. Last year I tried to do one every month, so I tried to do like between 11 to 12 long format YouTube videos throughout the year. And with all the other stuff that I've got going on as far as hobby projects and stuff with my hobby business, personal long format YouTube videos are not a priority this year. I'm doing the CWS Show Smarter series. I'm hosting that on YouTube, but those are private links because they are paid videos. I am sharing one of those a month, so that's taking up kind of a bulk of my editing energy. So I'm only going to probably do a couple of YouTube videos this year. I plan to do my normal, probably 2 or 3 Breyer Fest videos. Well, maybe more than that. Maybe like 3 or 4 Breyer Fest videos. And then I always do a collection tour before Breyer Fest. So I kind of reserve a lot of my YouTube videos to be centered around Breyer Fest, or around Breyer Fest time. So my collection tour will come out in June. There will be or maybe July. My collection tour will probably come out early July. I'll probably do a Breyer Fest discussion in June. And then there will be at least 2 follow-up to Breyer Fest videos, if not 3. So there will be a lot coming out around Breyer Fest season, but until and after then, I am kind of just making videos organically when I have things to yap about. I'm not going to try to come up with content to throw out a video every month. It's just not something that I have the time and energy for right now, with both doing the Show Smarter series on YouTube, prepping for my live show, and like also being an adult and doing things outside of the hobby, because that's where the bulk of my time and energy goes, to be honest. So that is really all that I have for you guys. Thank you for tagging along for this slideshow experience chat. And I will see you in the next one, which, unless I come up with something in the interim, it will probably be a discussion of Breyer Fest and the models and my plans. So if not before then, I will see you all in that one.